Welcome to Oxford News This Week. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Terry Stiles. In this week's news, a proud Marine vet serves as a Grand Marshal. Oxford student pleads guilty to all charges, and a Sled Hill tribute to Seth Davis.
Stay tuned to learn more about these stories and others. The Oxford News begins right now. Edison Township officials made their feelings clear about a proposed injection well in their community. The Lampart 1-12 well is located near Leonard and DeQuinder Roads. At an Environmental Protection Agency hearing in October, Supervisor Bruce Pearson and Township Attorney Bob Davis spoke in opposition of the well project. However, they were told that the local government has no control over whether the project will go forward or not. In response to that outcome, township officials voted 6-0 to pass a resolution opposing the proposed injection well in hopes that the community voice will be heard on the state level. We will bring you more updates as they play out.
On Thanksgiving morning, 22-year Oakland County Sheriff Eric Overall was killed in the line of duty in Brandon Township. Deputy Overall was deploying stop sticks at the intersection of Seymour Lake Road and M15 while assisting in a 22-mile pursuit of a 22-year-old suspect, a Macomb County man who appeared to run over the deputy before flipping his car. Last Saturday, Brandon Township firefighters, along with members of the Oakland County Sheriff Department, honored Deputy Overall's service by placing a commemorative wreath at the site of his final call of duty. Married this past June, Deputy Overall leaves behind his wife and his 15-year-old son, along with many loved ones. Prayers go out to the Overall family and all of Brandon emergency response comrades.
Not everyone around town knows his name, but they definitely know his uniform. Proudly wearing his U.S. Marine Corps dress blues, Oxford resident Clarence Cameron can be seen year-round collecting donations for veterans organizations, participating in patriotic ceremonies, visiting classrooms to share his life experiences with students, and molding today's youth into tomorrow's leaders. To honor his commitment to both the community and the nation, Cameron has served as the Grand Marshal of the annual Oxford Chamber of Commerce parade held downtown Oxford on December 2nd. If you missed the parade, you can catch it right here on OCTV or Oxford Community Television, YouTube, or our website at occtv.org.
Garrett Robert Brodeur, a four-year Oxford School early college student, was recently accused of assaulting his ex-girlfriend and taking the gun of an Oakland County officer. He pled guilty to all criminal charges against him on November 21st in Oakland County Circuit Court. The 18-year-old is scheduled to be sentenced January 2nd. He faces charges of attempting to disarm a police officer, resisting or obstructing an officer, and domestic violence.
Seth Davis had a true passion for the great outdoors. His memory will now live on in one of Oxford Township's parks thanks to the generosity of a local business. Last week, the Parks and Recreation Commission approved a donation from the Oxford-based Saradan Construction to honor Davis. Davis was a 2015 Oxford High School graduate. He passed away unexpectedly October 13th in Millersburg, Michigan. He was only 20 years of age.
'Tis holiday season and an unusual donation is needed by local residents. Not many people think of donating something simple that they use every day. This item is needed by people who have limited resources due to unemployment, homelessness, fire, or natural disasters. Remix Defined is collecting underwear at its downtown Oxford location until December 22nd. They will be distributing to local shelters, and people who wish to participate in the drive are asked to please purchase a donation, one package of new underwear, socks, or bras, or all three if you'd like. For more information, please call 248-550-0038. That's it for Oxford News this week. If you'd like to learn more about these stories or others, pick up a copy of the Oxford Leader newspaper or catch us on our website, occtv.org, on YouTube, and of course, our regular cable channel, Charter Channel 191 or AT&T Channel 99.
Coming up soon, OCTV's very own Cody Wright with the sports report and John Ochins with school news. And you won't want to miss Auto Talk and Science in the News with Dave Kenny.
Thanks for watching Oxford News this week, where we bring you your news closer to home.
And I'm Elgin Nichols. Remember, always be kind to your friends and neighbors, and thanks for watching.
Hi, it's Connie from Connie's Kitchen. I just wanted to remind you to watch us on OCTV and Uverse and
Okay, cut.
this is Connie from Connie's Kitchen at Treetop Lodge, reminding you to watch my program on OCTV and on Charter and
Cut.
Hi, it's Connie from Connie's Kitchen here at Treetop Lodge, reminding you to watch us on OCTV and YouTube and Charter and
Alright, cut. I think you forgot your lines, Connie.
I don't have
Should
lines.
have called lines.
Lines, there we go. Lines. Okay, 3, 2, 1
Here we
me.
go. 3, 2.
Join me here at Treetop Lodge. This is Connie from Connie's Kitchen, reminding you that you can watch us on OCTV and YouTube, Charter Channel 199, Uverse Channel 99. Can you imagine if we had to go through this every time? Yeah, right? Okay, see ya. This is Connie from Connie's Kitchen here at Treetop Lodge, and I want to remind you to join me here at the Lodge for Connie's Kitchen on OCTV, on YouTube, on Charter Channel 199, on Uverse Channel 99, and enjoy the show.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication New Scientist. In our first story, one of NASA's next big telescopes is facing cuts due to skyrocketing costs. The budget for the Wide Field Infrared Survey Telescope, or WFIRST, has ballooned from a projected $2 billion to at least $3.9 billion, according to a recent report by an independent review team. That is due to an upgraded 2.4-meter telescope and an added coronagraph, which reveals exoplanets by blocking light from their parent stars. As its scope and scale has crept up, its launch date has slipped to the mid-2020s. The report recommends cutting costs, noting that removing the coronagraph would save $400 million. They won't cut that, but will reduce the science mission and alter the telescope to keep it under $3.2 billion, wrote Thomas Zurbuchen at NASA's Science Mission Directorate in a memo. He says WFIRST remains NASA's highest astrophysics priority after the James Webb Space Telescope. And back on Earth, a bridge will sway if a magic number of pedestrians cross at once. This happened when London's Millennium Bridge first opened. Igor Belik of Georgia State University in Atlanta says that was due to people's footfalls matching the bridge's natural frequency, the rate at which it must be subjected to force to start moving. Every bridge has a natural frequency based on its length, width, and other aspects of its design. Imagine you are trying to get a swing to rise. If you rock too slowly or too quickly, nothing happens. But moving your legs at the right interval gets you swinging. Similarly, if the timing on footfalls on a bridge matches its frequency, it will sway too. It used to be believed that the bigger the crowd, the bigger the wobble. But Belik's model shows that it isn't just synchronized steps that start the swaying. Instead, it's a numbers game. Once the crowd reaches a critical size, there is a noticeable jump in swaying. Once this jump happens, the fact that we all move similarly to counteract the motion can make a bridge sway even more. Going to lose either way. In our next story, are you there, aliens? It's us, Earth. Astronomers have sent a radio message to a neighboring star system, one of the closest known to contain a potentially habitable planet, and it's nearby enough, that is to say, we could receive a reply in less than 25 years. I think it's unlikely an outcome, but it would be a welcome outcome, says Douglas Bakach, president of Messaging Extraterrestrial Intelligence, or METI International. METI is an offshoot of the more familiar SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. The target star is GJ 273, also known as Luton Star, a red dwarf in the northern constellation of Canis Minor, just 12 light years away. In March of this year, it was discovered to have 2 planets. One of them, known as GJ 273b, orbits within the star's habitable zone and could potentially harbor liquid water and perhaps life. This missive to the stars was sent on the anniversary of the Arecibo message, a radio transmission beamed toward a distant star cluster in 1974 from the Arecibo radio telescope in Puerto Rico. The Arecibo message contained information on the planets of our solar system, the structure of DNA, a cartoon-like picture of what a human being looks like, and other basic information about the Earth and its inhabitants. This new message, beamed from an antenna in Norway over roughly 8 hours over a 3-day period in October, is simpler and may be more readily understood, Bakach says. It begins with information about counting, arithmetic, geometry, and trigonometry, and includes a description of the radio waves that carry the message, as well as a tutorial on clocks and timekeeping to see if any potential inhabitants on GJ 273b have an understanding of time similar to our own. The idea of intentionally sending messages into space has always been controversial, even within the SETI community. One issue is, it's far from clear who should speak for mankind. Another concern is the potential danger of reaching out to extraterrestrials. Physicist Stephen Hawking and others have warned against the possible repercussions of encountering an alien civilization, noting that such a civilization will almost certainly be far older and far more technologically advanced than our own. 98% of astronomers and SETI researchers, including myself, think the METI is potentially dangerous and not a good idea, says David Wertheimer, a SETI researcher at the University of California in Berkeley. It's like shouting into a forest before you know there are tigers, lions, and bears and other dangerous animals out there. Well, we'll see how that goes. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.
I'm John Ochins, and welcome to the Oxford Wildcats School Update. Our International Baccalaureate program is in the news this week. Our high school kids in the middle year program have a new option for their personal project. Teacher Molly Darnell is in charge of that.
So we do have the MYP Personal Inquiry Project running as a semester-long course right now. During that time, students explore different topics. They start to think about what they like, what interests them, what's important to them and relevant to them. And from that, they then create a statement of inquiry. So what would be a line of inquiry that I would want to explore? Based on that inquiry, they determine some sort of action that they will take. So they go through an investigation stage, a planning stage, an action stage, and then a reflection stage, all within the classroom experience.
I asked Molly if this is a requirement for an IB diploma.
So when you say IB diploma, I think about the different programs offered within the IB. Typically when I hear IB diploma, that makes me think of the diploma program. But the MYP does have a certificate option. And so at the end of their sophomore year, a student who participates in the required subject area components and does the personal project, it can be eligible for a certificate. Currently, Oxford is exploring what that will look like.
They have 12 kids in the class now, and there's still room for more.
Absolutely. I think, Oxford's always pretty typically been a student-driven schedule. So it really runs off of where, what do our students want to take? Of course, there's also state requirements too on graduation. And Oxford offers a lot of great programs. So sometimes it's tough for students to find those pieces in their schedule, even with 7 periods.
Over 250 of our 8th graders just returned from Washington, D.C. the other day. I sat down with Principal Daisha Beasley and 8th graders William Brugman, Esme Rhoda, Lauren Hudson, and Griffin Horde to get their thoughts.
I thought I didn't really know that we were going to learn more about the history, but I thought it's going to be fun, and it was really fun. But we learned about a lot of history, and that was really fun to me.
Somebody else?
There was a lot more than I thought there would be. I thought we would just go there to see monuments and stuff like that, and adding on to what Lauren said, there's a lot more history involved with it.
Okay, so anybody else?
There was a lot more than I expected.
Several of the kids laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. Griffin Horde was one of them.
So it was really special for me to just go out there and actually fall and thank the people who defend this country.
We've been talking about charity projects as we approach the holidays. Debbie Parker is in charge of canine stray rescue blankets over at Lakeville.
We are collecting clean, used blankets and towels for the Oxford Canine Stray Rescue. It's our annual event. We do it every year. And we'll also accept new blankets and towels if people want to do that too. We collect them for the whole month of November. And then at the end of November, we'll run them up to the rescue and donate them.
They've been doing that project for 11 years. Jamie Bartlow is running a project called Jeans for Troops over at OES. It involves strictly staff and is designed to help raise money for veterans in need as they leave the service. I asked Jamie what inspired her to do this.
Again, I got the email from Jeff Brown, forwarded out, and asked if anyone wanted to take it on. My brother was being deployed for the first time, I think the first time that we did it as a staff, so I took it to heart and said, let's do something, let's make a difference for all the families out there and the veterans who come home. So that was just exciting, and it's just kept going. Since then, my brother's gone on another deployment and come home safely, so that's excellent, but we just keep it going because it's a good thing. So I love that the staff here has been super welcoming and super ready to go. A lot of us are wearing red too because there's another initiative called Red, Remember Everyone Deployed, and it's usually a Friday thing, but we celebrated today on Monday, so people are wearing red and their jeans to celebrate and remember our veterans.
Good people doing good things. That's the Oxford School Update for this week. This is Oxford Community Television, keeping it local.
Thanks to your generosity, Marines have delivered Christmas to children in need since 1947.
What's going on, Wildcat fans? Cody Wright here once again with the Sports Report. Well, since we just had a holiday and the fall season had just come to an end, the new winter season is still ramping up. Most sports schedules either kick off this following week or the next. However, we do have some news for our varsity hockey team, so let's check it out. First off, our Oxford and Avondale United Club has switched home rinks from last year's Troy Sports Center to the Detroit Skate Club. Just a heads up for the game goers, I believe it's a bit closer and we're able to get a good camera angle for our coverage. So be sure to check that out. Like I said, we have covered 2 hockey games already this year. The first being 2 weekends back against Bloomfield Hills. The boys played well for the first half of the game. However, Bloomfield managed to get a few past our goaltender Aaron Angelo in net. We fell apart a bit at the end of the game and weren't able to get a win. However, we are a young team with a very short bench and young guys, some exposure and experience, and we should get back in this thing. We saw just that last weekend when we returned home to take on Utica. Utica had us beat as far as momentum went for a great portion of the game. Their team was older, larger, and more experienced. However, that didn't stop our guys from sticking with them. In the third period, we snuck a few past their goaltender to tie the game and then managed to get yet another goal to put us ahead with only a few left in the third. Utica then came back and tied the game back up and we headed into sudden death overtime. Tensions were high and pressure was on the defense. Aaron Angelo had an outstanding game in net and we played as a team and it came through. The next goal was for us and it ended with the game at a win. It was exciting and it shows that we are in for a great ride this season. So like I said, hockey has a few games under its belt and more to come. However, the winter season really kicks off in these next few weeks. Both boys and girls basketball will be playing this week and we will have scores and details on its outcome next week. Once again, we also have wrestling, competitive cheer, boys and girls skiing, boys and girls bowling, and boys swim. So be sure to stay tuned to catch ear of these upcoming events. Another way to inform yourself about these events and more is by going to oxfordathletics.org. There's plenty of schedules, statistics, and even small breakdown articles all there at oxfordathletics.org. While you're at it, might as well check us out at occtv.org. We post all of our coverage of the games and more on our YouTube page, which you can access through the website. Once again, that is occtv.org. And that should just about wrap up this week's report. Stay tuned and we will be bringing you more on this next winter sports season. So until next time, I'm Cody Wright. Go Wildcats.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication Automotive News. In our first story, the U.S. Senate sponsors of legislation governing self-driving cars are searching for an expedited way to get a floor vote after momentum on the bill stalled in recent weeks. Senate Commerce Committee Chairman John Thune and top Democrats are checking with members on both sides of the aisle to see whether there are any concerns that might hamper a vote using the unanimous consent rule, two people familiar with the matter said. It's the first step toward getting the Senate's full consideration of the bill after it unanimously was voted out of committee on October 4th. The measure notably bars states from imposing restrictions on autonomous vehicle safety performance and development, allows automakers to win tens of thousands of exemptions from safety rules that require human controls, and sets privacy requirements for disclosing how collected data is used. Thune told Bloomberg at BNA that his staff is informally checking with Republicans to identify and resolve any concerns before the bill comes to the floor. Co-sponsor Gary Peters of Michigan is doing the same thing on the Democratic side in an effort to pass the bill under unanimous consent, a Senate staff member told Automotive News. A senator may request unanimous consent to set aside a specific procedural rule to speed up proceedings, but it only takes one objection to kill the request. The principle behind the rule is that procedural safeguards designed to protect a minority can be waived when there is no minority to protect. Auto and tech industry officials were optimistic the Senate would pass autonomous vehicle legislation this year, but the timing of a potential vote remains unclear, with the Senate focused on a massive tax cut bill, budget matters, and immigration issues. Lawmakers will have to make a final Senate bill compatible with a similar bill that has already passed in the House. Wow. And over at Ford, the Ford C-Max has run out of juice. U.S. production ended in September for the C-Max Energy plug-in hybrid and will conclude in mid-2018 for the C-Max hybrid, wrapping up a 6-year run for a once promising nameplate that was doomed by sluggish electrified vehicle demand and overstated fuel economy claims. Ford will continue to produce and sell gasoline and diesel versions of the C-Max in Europe for a number of years, a spokesman said. Ford's confirmation ends years of speculation that the brand's worst-selling mass-market nameplate would disappear from U.S. dealerships. Ford had said it would end C-Max and Focus compact car production at the Michigan assembly plant in Wayne, Michigan in 2018 as it makes room for the Ranger midsize pickup and Bronco SUV. It announced plans to build the next-generation Focus in China, but never confirmed whether it would move the C-Max. Michelle Krebs, executive analyst with AutoTrader, said a number of market factors worked against the C-Max, including low gasoline prices and a consumer shift towards crossovers and SUVs. It's a car in a market that wants SUVs, and not many people want hybrids, she said. It was one of the most heavily discounted cars in that segment, and that still didn't move the needle and had so many strikes against it, she said. Some of those strikes were self-inflicted. Ford originally promised an eye-catching fuel economy rating of 47, 47, 47 for the C-Max hybrid. That is 47 miles per gallon in the city, highway, and combined driving. But it lowered those claims twice after consumers and the EPA questioned them. Ford paid owners hundreds of dollars apiece to make up for the errant mileage claims, and the revamped C-Max marketing strategy to focus less on fuel economy. Service and replacement parts for the C-Max will be available for years to come, a Ford spokesman said. Despite the death of the C-Max, Ford said it remained committed to electrification. In January, the company said over the next 5 years, it planned to add 13 electrified models, including hybrid versions of the Mustang and the F-150 in 2020 as part of a $4.5 billion investment. The automaker also created a group called Team Edison to study and develop electric vehicles. And on the recall front, Honda Motor Company said in November 18th that it was recalling about 900,000 minivans because second-row seats may tip forward if not properly latched after being adjusted. The automaker said the recall covers 2011 to 2017 Honda Odyssey minivans, all but 2,000 of which are in North America, and that it had 46 reports of minor injuries related to the issue. Honda said it was working on a recall fix to help ensure proper latching, and in the interim had posted a detailed instruction sheet on how to ensure seats are properly latched. Well, that's all for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and as always, may the wind be at your back as you cruise down life's highways. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. Battles are won within. Over enemies of fear. Enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise.